Don't join a community. Do this instead to reach $10,000 a month. We're going to be talking about 5 reasons why joining a community is usually a big waste of time. Communities are the rage these days. Groups like Rev Genius and Pavilion have popped up over the last decade. Big names like Chris Walker and Dave Gerhardt are promoting them and have made or are making huge money off them. And recently, Alex Ramosi invested in Sam Ovens' School, which is the ultimate community platform. And it's true that the gathering of like-minded people that share demographic traits is an extremely profitable enterprise. Having a community is one of the best business models out there. Recurring revenue, practically no unit costs, small overheads, a loyal base of customers who can be upsold to regularly. It's a slice of heaven. It's very hard to pull off. Also, early on in my entrepreneurial career, I tried to build a free community and I crashed and burned. Today, I know that this isn't something you can do on the side as an also-ran marketing tactic. It needs to be an integral part of your business plan, and you need to give it 100% of your focus. So as a business, communities are great. But as a consumer, a community member, more often than not, they're a huge waste of time. It's actually similar to social media, right? Social media is a great business. As a consumer, unless you're using it for business yourself, it's not such a great time investment. And I want to list 5 reasons why you, if you're starting out and you want to get to $10,000 a month, why you should stay away from communities and what you should do instead. Who is this for? Consultants, coaches, agency owners who are at the beginning of their journey, anyone selling a high-ticket B2B service on a retainer or project basis. So first, I want to make it clear what kind of communities I'm talking about here. I don't mean high-end masterminds where you meet very impressive people in a real-life setting, where you go on a yacht cruise and where a conversation with someone over dinner can be life-changing for you and your business. Those can have some benefits, and there's a great video from Dan Henry where he breaks down all the masterminds he attended and what the benefits were. I'll leave a link in the show notes. I also don't mean communities of employed professionals, marketers having a community where they learn and exchange tactics, HR professionals discussing HR stuff. Those are also great tools for professional development. Instead, what I mean are the types of free or $99 a month or even $297 a month communities specifically set up for small business owners and that supposedly coach people in entrepreneurship or a specialized area within entrepreneurship. For example, a community for business owners to learn how to grow on LinkedIn, or a community where people help you choose a niche and build an offer, or a community that teaches people how to build their tribe. And yes, that was the community that I started. I'm not particularly proud of that achievement, but at least it was free. Early stage entrepreneurs join these communities for 3 reasons. First, to get access to the community leader who's some kind of an expert or guru, or to find clients, or to network. And the temptation to join a low-cost community when you are starting out is very high. I totally get it. You find people who are in the same boat as you are. You make new online friends to share and commiserate in the highs and lows of entrepreneurship. Founders are lonely, and communities seem like a good way to alleviate loneliness, but really are a huge distraction. So let's now get into the 5 reasons why you shouldn't join free or low-ticket communities. Number 1, communities are social experiences and they're not sources of learning. And the reason why you are below 10K a month is purely a question of skill, nothing else. Even if you have a mindset problem, it's ultimately a skill. Not being disciplined, being too emotional, not believing in yourself is all the same thing. You lack client acquisition skills. How to be disciplined, how to ignore the negative voices in your head, how to make an irresistible offer, how to write a good cold email, how to sell a service to a complete stranger, and so on. Now, how do we acquire a skill? Well, just like any other skill, through a cycle of knowledge acquisition, putting the knowledge into practice, getting your reps in, analyzing your mistakes, doing a better job next time, more knowledge acquisition, and so on. 10% consuming content, 90% practicing the task. Getting a coach can be useful as he or she will point out your mistakes. But you don't need a community for that. A community, given its strong social focus and its relentless recurring pattern of reciprocity and shiny object learning opportunities, is a distraction. You may say, well, you can learn so much while being part of a community, but the truth is, you hop on random topics the community trains you about, which are rarely solving the immediate next problem you have. It's just in case knowledge that you acquire in communities, not just in time. And that's the kind of knowledge you need to seek. In many ways, communities can actually be very detrimental to learning because you get too many options. And here's a very good example. In my very early days, I was in a low-cost community. And while there was a guru, there were many other people in there sharing extremely detailed advice. Often they were very accomplished and were looking for new customers in that community. So they played the game of sharing valuable content, collecting the engagers, and then pitching them their service. And I remember one such post that had a massive impact on me. The guy wrote a 4,000-word Facebook post, or something like that. It was super long, on how to get clients. It was super detailed, very compelling, and extremely well written. I wish I had saved it. It was really, really good. It was like a Dan Brown novel. It completely sucked you in. But kind of didn't align at all with the method that the community guru was promoting and that I was following at the time. I was there for Mr. Guru. And then this other dude comes along and shares his own playbook generously for free. And for a good week or even more, I was just obsessed with this guy's instruction manual. I stopped doing what Mr. Guru told me, and instead I now try to implement this guy's approach. And that's the risk of a community. Far too many sources of feedback on what you're doing. Far too many methods and approaches that clamor for your attention. The truth is that most approaches work, whether it's cold email and content, DMing, or even leafletting and running ads. Everything works, but you need to give it time, a lot of effort, get some expertise, and dial it in so that it starts working for you. I've been doing cold emails since March 2021, and I've become pretty good at it. But it took me about 30,000 cold emails to get there. But communities don't want to give you time. They want to overwhelm you with stimuli and a social experience. And that is not the right way to learn. And remember, you have a skill problem and you need to learn. You need to learn by taking someone you trust and following their instructions and ignoring everything else. It's very much about what you don't do than what you do. You can learn self-defense by doing jiu-jitsu for several years, but you won't get very far if you alternate between jiu-jitsu, karate, and boxing every few weeks. Now, networking is good, don't get me wrong, but good is, as the saying goes, often the enemy of the great. And most of you, if you've been watching my videos for a while, you're not the kind of person who would waste their life away watching the news or scrolling TikTok mindlessly. Those are not your sources of procrastination. But helping someone out in a community, answering questions about your area of expertise, that seems like it's a worthy alternative. It's like a wholesome activity to spend time on instead of building client acquisition skills and systems. You see, communities are just another source of procrastination, not as bad as YouTube cat videos, but procrastination nonetheless. It's very easy to lose yourself in the comfort of being helpful to your fellow human and get the feeling that you're doing something good. It's good versus great, don't forget. And I actually wanted to mention here, again, another short anecdote. Through the community that I was doing, I actually won a client. So that is true. I won a client who was part of the community and who was listening to a lot of what I was saying. And then she kind of really liked what I was saying and she became a client. So that's true. But the time that it took me to invest in that community was extraordinary. I invested easily 100, if not 200 hours in that thing. Now I invest 5 hours into creating 50 personalized cold email videos. I do 3 sales calls and I get 1 client out of this. So that's now, maybe I spent 8, maybe 10 hours to get 1 client. This was probably 200 hours that I spent. So it's completely out of proportion to what the result is. Okay, let's get to number 2, why you should avoid joining communities. Communities are incentivized to not solve a problem you have. They want to keep you around as long as possible. And so they throw a lot of shiny objects your way. Deep dive webinars into particular topics that you think, oh, interesting, I wonder what that is about. And they encourage you to do one-to-ones with other community members. They ask you to help other members out. They want you to become a permanent cult member, which of course is the right thing to do for them. I'm not knocking that. It's a great business, as I said. But what you need at this stage in your business are, again, skills. I know I'm repeating myself, but it's super important. A community is not looking to teach you a specific set of skills, and then you're on your merry way and you don't need them anymore. No, a community gives you just enough value so you continue paying in. Number 3, communities are not actually a great source of clients when you're at the early stages of your journey. Believe it or not. Sure, you might be able to find a client there, but it's a completely unscalable client acquisition method. It's not like you can approach everyone in the community and sell to them. It's a different thing if you have a playbook for how to infiltrate communities at scale and just do enough prospecting in them so that you don't get kicked out. I mentioned the approach that guy was running. He published a very polished content piece and then targeted the engagers. That's a tactic. And by the way, It was a tactic that a community owner very much frowned upon at the time. I don't know how it is now. I'm not in many communities now. At the time, they even kicked people out for. So it was just too transparent what these mini gurus were doing. They were just adding really helpful posts, how I got from $10,000 to $50,000 a month. Here's the breakdown, super detailed breakdown. And it was a really good breakdown. But a post that was adding too much value was a bit suspicious. So if you can do that and you can get people to do that on your behalf, then maybe. If you can approach 50 people a day using this method, your call booking rate is 2% or more, it can be a good method. But most people who join communities don't do this with this hustler mindset. They want to be positively contributing members of these communities. And that is what I'm arguing against here, because it takes so much of your time. And that half hour that you're taking every day to do a virtual coffee with someone in the community to get to know them and network is a half hour that you're not investing into building actual client acquisition skills. Now, granted, communities are very useful for one thing, customer research. So if you want to understand how your clients tick and what they care about, and you have a chance to join a community that is teaming with your ideal avatars, of course, that is great. It can then be a complementary tool in your toolbox that you use to learn about your target market. I still think you will learn more by testing different cold email angles and then running a very good and tight sales call where you truly get to know your avatar. So I think this is far more valuable, but it is useful. It is better than nothing if you join a community just to get like the vibe of how people tick. That can be a good thing, and you can probably do that faster than book a sales call. Now, final point on communities being a source of clients. Most beginners totally overestimate the level of familiarity and trust that is required to have with someone before you can successfully sell to them. The truth is, all you need is a professional looking social media profile, preferably LinkedIn for B2B, a good offer, and some form of risk reversal. If you have that, you can sell to complete strangers. You would be so surprised. If you haven't done this ever before, you'd be so surprised how possible it is, how eminently possible is to professionally approach someone in your target market, send them an email, make them an offer, and book them on an exploratory call. People will do this and do this all the time. I'm booking 3-4 sales calls a day like this. That way you can bypass the community altogether. Number 4, communities elevate the icing on a cake to being the cake itself. Here's what I mean. I often dunk on networking as a client acquisition tactic, and sometimes I get criticized for it when people say, I get all my clients from networking. What are you talking about? Well, I know one thing, that if you get all your clients from networking, you're not making as much money as you could, because networking isn't scalable. It's always you who has to do it. Large businesses don't have the founder running around hustling for new business. So on the path from you being a small business to being a big business, you need to let go of networking. You need to do less of it, not more. If you want to keep your business small, sure, keep socializing, keep networking. But if you actually want to grow, you want to build systems that can run without you, that's the key thing. Your client getting system must run without you as much as possible. Your network can, of course, be a source of potential clients, but the right approach is to treat it as the garnish, not as the main dish. Finally, point number 5, reason number 5, why you shouldn't join a community, and this is going to be a bit of a controversial point. This is not a good idea to socialize with people who are at your level while that level is low. If you are a 7-figure business founder and you meet another 7-figure founder, it's a totally different story, of course. And that's not some kind of elitism on my side. It's not that this person is inherently better or more worthy than a beginner is. Of course not. But if you want to grow a business, another 7-figure business owner, if you get along with them, can and will teach you something interesting. How they grew their business. That's definitely interesting. It's a big task. They've accomplished something that only a very small fraction of business owners accomplish. They hit 7 figures. But someone in a low ticket community who's also a beginner like you, who has maybe 1 or 2 clients from their network, sure, they might be able to teach you something valuable, but they could also be completely wrong about business. Like, don't take financial advice from broke people, and don't take business advice from people who don't really have a business, who maybe have 1 or 2 clients, right? For example, you really like this person, you get along, and they inculcate in you the widely held opinion that cold outreach doesn't work. People say this all the time. Cold email is dead. Oh, how bad it is to add someone on LinkedIn and pitch them. It's very bad. You need to build a relationship instead. And you, as a result, totally buy into that because you like the person and they totally convince you, and you're like together on a virtual coffee and you're railing against that. Oh, those annoying people who pitch you, blah, blah, blah. And you buy into that, not least because it's a widely parroted view among the LinkedIn goody two-shoes population. Just like Groucho Marx said, don't join clubs that would have people like you as members. Aim higher. A $99 a month community will have a far bigger share of people that are wrong about business, than a $30,000 a year mastermind. I know it's not nice to say, but it's the truth. That's the reason why people join elite country clubs, right? Not because all the people there are amazing, but because there's a lower likelihood that people in there will be crooks and thieves and otherwise grossly incompetent. Now you may ask, well, what about the loneliness of entrepreneurship? It is very lonely after all. That's a fair point, but it's also very similar to asking, but what about the pain of muscle growth when you're lifting weights and working out? After all, sore muscles are very painful. Well, yeah, comes with the territory. Entrepreneurship, unless you have a co-founder, is lonely. Period. That's it. It's something to accept and deal with. Elon Musk was once asked, how can we encourage more people to start companies? And his response was, if you need encouragement, don't start a company. And that's exactly right. If you cannot handle the pain that comes with starting a company, don't start one. Deal with the pain. Not every pain needs alleviating. It is possible to experience pain and to just do the work no matter what. The more you can deal with the pain, the richer you will be. It's that simple. Communities are useful when you're a little bit lost and disoriented. Maybe when you're stuck in life and you need some dislodging, you need some new inputs, and you want to be able to think a little bit outside of the box. But when you're starting a consulting business, you want to grow from 0 to 10K a month, or even beyond that. Let's say you have your sights set on 20, 30, 50K a month, and you are willing to work for it. You can see the path before you. Then there's no point in joining a community. But you may say, what if you cannot see the path before you? Let's say you want to grow your business, you're at 5K with 1 or 2 clients, and you don't know what to do. Well, there's a statement in YouTube and Twitter testosterone land, and that is become a ghost, disappear for 6 months, etc. And it's actually true. You'll need to lock yourself in a room and take the following 3 steps. And I promise you, I really promise you, if you do that, you will reach 10K a month within 6 months, probably much earlier. So yes, become a ghost. I mean, I don't mean to completely withdraw even from your family, of course not, right? But it's just don't allow yourself to be distracted and take the following 3 steps. Step 1, make sure that your fundamentals are in place, such as A, you have one clear avatar with one pain point. Do not sell to more than one avatar. And if you do have different ones at the moment, it's not a problem. You can keep them. But for step 2, which is going to come soon, only choose one. Step 2 is all going to be about outreach. Okay. B, you have a reasonably repeatable playbook for each client. Think like a car manufacturer. There needs to be a process you take each new client through, something repeatable. Of course, you can tweak the process for individual client, but overall it should roughly stay the same and be always the same thing you sell. In my early days, I was selling newsletter writing, LinkedIn content creation, cold emailing, and even writing thought leadership hardcover books for mid-sized B2B businesses. There was no repeatable process. Every client got a custom tailored suit. Again, if you need to do this to keep the lights on, fine, don't fire any of your clients. But as we get into step 2, outreach, pick one thing you'll be doing for the same client. Point C, when it comes to these are fundamentals. Point C is you have an offer. You need to create an offer. Something that if you approach a stranger avatar, some will find it interesting and want to know more. You know, it's the classic thing of don't walk around and tell people, hey, we do Facebook ads. Do you need that? No. An offer is something like, we will help you run your Facebook ads. If you do not get 3x return on your investment, you will not pay, or something like that. My offer is we will solve client acquisition problems forever. And if we cannot make you $50,000 in new revenue in the first 6 months of working with us, you get a full refund of everything you paid us. Okay. Point D, that's part of the fundamentals. You have your head screwed on, right? And you don't expect any miracles. You're doing one of the most difficult things in the world, starting a business, and you're aware of this. You are selling your stuff to strangers. This means you have to work insanely hard, 60 hours a week if you have kids, 80 hours if you don't. And in a focused way, you work hard and in a super focused way. And you don't throw the toys out of the pram when you don't land a client in a couple of weeks, even months. You are resilient and you can deal with 99 no's before the next yes. You don't have any false pride and you don't consider any work, as long as it serves your avatar in your area of expertise, beneath you. Your main goal is to get your clients results, right? So having the right mindset, having the right approach to it is, of course, one of the fundamentals. And those are effectively all the fundamentals you need. I'm sure you could come up with 1 or 2 more, but that's pretty much it. So that is step 1. Have the fundamentals in place and really do not deviate from this. I constantly meet people who, like recently I spoke to somebody who's like a digital marketer and he was literally doing everything. SEO, Facebook ads, social media, blog writing, white paper creation, anything when it comes to content, Facebook ads, and it's just literally everything. And he was selling to, his niche was Small and medium businesses. Yay. It's medium. SMEs are not a niche. That's not a niche. It's a giant pile of completely different people. A small law firm is a small business. A lawn mowing company is a small business. A hairdresser is a small business. Those are all small businesses, very different from each other. Okay. So it's not a niche. So just don't go against these fundamentals. Please just do these 4 things and then start outreach. And that's step 2. Reach out to 100 people every day. It is physically possible. Start with everybody in your network. And I've dedicated a video on how to reach out to everyone that you know in a way that is not icky. And I'll leave the link in the show notes. And once your network is exhausted, do cold emails, cold DMs, or cold calling. Make everyone an offer and invite them on a Zoom call. And I know it's one of those things that I say and practically no one will do that. And that's why most B2B service business founders struggle and why only very few are rich. The time I started doing outreach at this level was the time I stopped making anything less than $20,000 a month. It's like a law of nature. 100 cold emails a day, never make less than $20,000 a month again, ever. Period. And if you are committed to doing this, then bravo, kudos to you. And you want to know how, and you cannot afford to work with us, you cannot afford to work with a coach who will show you the ropes and hold you accountable, then just follow this channel. I'm sharing 1 long form video a week where you can learn the science and art of B2B client acquisition. And there will be many others who teach you on YouTube for free how to send cold emails, for example. When there's a will, you will no doubt find a way, but commit to it. Do it. Send 100 of those things a day. Track what's working, tweak your approach, study the results, book sales calls, try to close, repeat. And you'll see that gradually you will figure it out. And no, emailing someone does not burn the lead. 99% of people who don't need your services, they won't remember you within 5 minutes of receiving the email. And if you have a good offer, you will get a call booking rate of 1 to 5%, depending on how well you personalize the video. And then finally, step 3, publish a little bit of content regularly so that when people look you up, they can see your expertise. LinkedIn, YouTube, and that's it. Your working hours outside of serving your existing clients now consist of 90% outreach and sales calls, 10% content. This should get you to 10 to 20K a month pretty quickly in, let's say, 3 to 6 months, depending on your skill level and level of experience. And it really is that simple. I wish I had known that when I was struggling to make even 10K 3 to 4 years ago. It really is all about gluing your butt in your office chair and putting in the reps of contacting as many people as you possibly can. Notice that at none of these steps that I mentioned, you need a community. You don't need people to commiserate with. You don't need advice from random people in a cheap community, because community stands in direct opposition to results. And when I say results, I mean business growth, revenue, and profit. Never prioritize networking over results.